Aquaman 2018, the latest film in the DC movie universe. After a few kind of duds, with the exception of Wonder Woman, Aquaman finally course corrects and is actually a pretty good movie. Now, I saw Aquaman in this new movie format called ScreenX. So, I live in Canada, in Toronto, and Cineplex is like the main movie chain we have here. And the theater I usually go to, this one in Etobicoke, they are the first theater in Canada to get this new screen format called ScreenX. So what it is there's the normal screen, and then there's two extra screens on the side that kind of really make you visually immersed in the movie. They're calling it a 270-degree vision or something. So when you're in the movie, it's only about maybe 40 or 50% of the movie where they use the screens on the side. So when I saw Aquaman in this format, and they'll have the normal movie going, and then maybe they'll dive into the water, and then all of a sudden the two screens on the side just pop up. And, when they're in the water, you see all the water on the side, and it adds a lot of extra kind of flair to the film. So I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of added a little bit to the movie, although I don't think it is really exactly necessary. Now, the two screens on the side, it doesn't look the best. Like, the image is a little bit stretched out, and if you're not in the direct center of the cinema, I was a little bit on the left. It kind of ruins it a little bit. I mean, you really see the stretched outness of it, and it's not, maybe the best. Also, you have, like, the exit signs, and they're kind of on top of the screens in certain parts, so that makes it a little bit not as great as well. But anyway, it was a fun little thing to see. I would recommend maybe checking it out if you want a new experience, but once again, it's not completely necessary. A regular ticket costs $14 in my city, and this ScreenX format cost $19. So yeah, I just wanted to give that additional kind of context to this movie. And I think Aquaman is a movie with so much visuals that it really kind of does add to this ScreenX format. Okay. Now let's get on to the actual movie. Now, I'm a pretty big Aquaman fan, and I find a lot of people kind of always make fun of Aquaman because he's not like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man who talks to fish. But they really make Aquaman a badass in this film, and they do a pretty good job. So this movie was directed by James Wan, who directed movies such as Saw, Insidious, as well as Furious 7. Now, Furious 7, for the Fast and Furious movie, there's a lot of visuals in that movie and lots of action sequences, and that really does carry over to this movie. The action sequences in this film are very well done. There's this one scene where they are in Sicily and they're fighting on all these rooftops. Just looked gorgeous. Great stuff. The CGI in this film is crazy. Now, you can only do this film with CGI, and it is CGI'd like crazy, but it totally does work most of the time. I think there's a couple scenes where maybe it looked a little bit too much computer graphics-y, but for the most part, the visuals are fantastic. These CGI, they're CGIing these huge ocean battles. They're CGIing these crazy fight sequences. So the visuals in this movie are pretty top-notch. Now, the writers in this film, we have a couple. There's David Leslie Johnson-McGoldrick, Will Beall, James Wan. So these guys wrote movies such as, The Walking Dead TV show, Gangster Squad. So not the best movies or TV shows. But you also have Geoff Johns, the very popular comic writer, one of my favorite comic writers, and he was involved on the script for this movie. So I really think Geoff Johns' influence maybe did help Aquaman kind of be a better movie. Now, Geoff Johns also wrote a pretty good Aquaman run a few years ago, so he's really a guy that knows this character, knows how to write him well, knows the lore. So I think Geoff Johns really probably did make a difference in this movie in making it better than it would have been if he wasn't attached to it, right? Let's talk about the cast now. So we got Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Now, when this movie was first announced and I saw Jason Momoa's look, I was like, this guy is not Aquaman. Like, look at his hair. It's black. Aquaman's hair is blonde. And, I really was kind of bothered by that, but he totally did a fine job in this movie. I totally bought him as Aquaman. Now, maybe the characterization, Jason Momoa is bringing a little bit more of like this kind of cockiness to Aquaman that I don't really see Aquaman having in the comics, but nevertheless, I thought he was pretty good in this movie. We got Amber Heard as Mera with this crazy fake red looking hair, but I thought she was fine as Mera. It was fun seeing her use her powers of sucking water out of people, and there's this one scene where they're fighting and they're in like this winery, and she's able to like get all the water from these wine bottles and crash them and use the wine as like bullets that she's able to fire because she's able to control all liquid. Really cool character. Got Willem Dafoe as Vulko, and he's got his hair in a bun most of the movie, and he's sort of like a mentor to Aquaman in this. He was a pretty good addition to the cast, I thought. We got Patrick Wilson as King Orm, or Ocean Master, and he was very much a mustache twirling evil villain in this. He was just a little bit maybe over the top, but pretty fun, I must say. Then we got Dolph Lundgren. It's great to see Dolph Lundgren in this. He was King Nerus, and he was like one of the heads of the other kingdoms within Atlantis. We got the guy playing Black Manta, I've never heard of before. His name is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. And I didn't think he was the best as Black Manta. There wasn't really much depth to this character. He's just this angry guy that wants to kill Aquaman, and that's about it. Although I do think they did a good job on the costume for Black Manta. It totally does look like the comics, and kind of fun seeing him work on the costume and fire stuff out of his eyes. We got Tamara Morrison as Tom Curry, Aquaman's dad. I wasn't really loving him as Aquaman's dad. In the beginning of the movie, they're jumping back in time a bit, so they're CGIing him to look younger, and it looked a little bit awkward. And then in the future, we see him as an aged old man, and he was okay. I don't know. I wasn't really loving him in the movie. We got Nicole Kidman as Aquaman's mother, the queen, Atlanna. And Nicole Kidman was pretty good in this. She looks fantastic. For a woman that's like 51 years old, she's gorgeous. And I thought she was pretty okay as this, queen of Atlantis and this love interest and Aquaman's mother. So she was fine in this movie. Pretty fun stuff. This movie is really cheesy, but in a good way. It is fun. It is over the top. Everyone's a little bit overacting, but it is fine because it is just so fun. And you got Dolph Lundgren with this red hair flowing in the ocean. You got an octopus playing the drums. You got these crazy ocean creatures, monsters, all these kingdoms. And they're all battling. Really fun stuff. One negative I had is that as the plot goes on, it gets a little convoluted maybe. There's so many of these kingdoms, it's hard to keep track of which one's on which side, but I guess it doesn't really matter. The overall plot also kind of was a little simplistic in the sense that it was like, Aquaman, you need to go here now and pick up this, and now you need to go over here and pick up that, and then you gotta bring that over here, and then, then it was like, kind of whatever. But still, this movie is really fun. I had a great time with it. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Great to see DC back on the right track with these movies. This was a fantastic time.